You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If Conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from North Idaho in an actual free state. I am, in fact, your conservative Sherpa, guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. And please note, as per normal, my show consists of, for the next 2 hours, my opinion only, and those of my guests. There's a reason for my saying that. What am I doing? Well, I'm doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time. Customarily, we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. But today is a little bit of a different day. Yes, customarily, we serve facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, clarity, context, tradition, and common sense in the saloon. And yes, customarily, we talk politics and religion and crime and culture and race, sex, science, economics, law. We talk about it all here at the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. I am streaming live right now on X, on the SHR Media Rumble channel, on the SHR Media YouTube channel, at KLRN, on my X Twitter feed at BZ's Saloon, also on Sean Lewis's X feed at 2 Against Tyranny. We are on Twitch. We're on just about any other place that you can think of where customarily good podcasts are found. I suppose as opposed to bad podcasts. They're the ones I think that probably threw the toilet paper at your tree last Halloween. But this is going to be a little bit of a different show. By the way, it is February the 11th, the year of our Lord 2025. It was 16 years ago today that I lost my father at age 88. And that's what that little tribute was at the beginning of the show. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show is going to be interesting for those interested in filmmaking, the unexplained, UFOs, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the paranormal, because I have a great returning guest, filmmaker EDWARD Monge, who was last in the saloon April of last year. Now, a ton, of course, has happened since then. So I thought that basically it'd be a good time to check back in with Edward. That show in April of 2024 was definitely, I remember it as if it was yesterday, thank God, because my short-term memory is gone. Because for me, it was a technological coup, so to speak. It was a technological first. There were 4 people on the show. I'd never even remotely attempted to put 4 people on a show and place their faces up around here so that everyone can be seen and not look like a moron. And some say that I managed to pull that off. So thanks to the some sayers who say that I pulled that off. It was pretty challenging trying to produce a cogent and kind of semi-entertaining program, which, because of my guests, was in fact very entertaining. Now, people customarily come to my show for politics, but I've got other interests as well. I know that sounds weird. And when opportunities arise like this one, like tonight, I am certainly going to take advantage of them, because this gentleman that I have on the show, I haven't seen him for a while. I haven't spoken to him for a while. So a lot of stuff has changed. And veterans of the show know that I don't just do politics, but every once in a while I do authors of note, fiction, nonfiction. And this is one of the first times that I'd ever really had the opportunity to dip my toe into filmmaking. Now, Edward Monge and I have spoken. I try to speak to my guests at the beginning of the show before they come on, and I let everybody know, okay, this is what I plan to talk about, all of these things. And customarily, the guests and I have at least as good a conversation before the show as we do during the show, but we're going to repeat some of those things because you guys weren't here to hear that. So some people know that I also have an interest in the unexplained, the paranormal, UFO, UFOs, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, those things. And tonight's program has all of those and more, plus filmmaking, the technological and technical aspect of filmmaking, which is just, like I told Edward at the beginning of the show, dude, you are a man after my own heart, because if I hadn't done all the GURP that I did during that time, I would love to have done exactly what he's doing right now. And of course, like me, there are a lot of people out there who have witnessed their own events. And tonight, if that's you, what I'd like to do is kind of provide you with the opportunity. So I'm just going to kind of run this down the bottom. And I get it, I grok the concept. A lot of people don't call in. If that's you, though, I would love you to call in. And I will buttress that with this. I have had what I would consider to be a Bigfoot encounter. And I have had 5, maybe 6 UFO encounters, one of which I had with my wife while we're in a hot tub almost 10 years ago on the California coast, looking up right, and the waves are crashing about 50 feet below, and it's just really cool. The sky is super clear, and we look up there, and it's like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? I think so. Holy! We look at each other. We're seeing a UFO together. No, we're not seeing a UFO together. We're seeing a bunch of UFOs together. So before I introduce Edward Monge to the Saloon, I want to emphasize that I'd like to hear some of your encounters tonight, whether it's UFO or paranormal or Bigfoot or some kind of other unanticipated encounter. So like I say, as a result, the little banner below, the phone lines are going to be open the entire show at 835-3329. And it's just going to keep running until I get tired of it or I want to throw another banner up there. You don't need to give your real name. You don't need to provide any personal information. Identifying, none of that stuff. That's not the point. The point is to let others know, everybody, you, me, that it's okay to talk about your encounters. Because guaranteed, many, many people have had their own. And no one's going to belittle you or shame you. You're among friends tonight here in the Saloon. So tonight is for you, and it's for Edward Monge, if you care to weigh in. So, like I say, everything is up for bid. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, unexplained, UFO, paranormal, whatever it is that you may have seen or adventured with or around. If you're interested, please let us know. So by this time, okay, I'm sure that Edward has already vacuumed his entire house. He's replaced the filter in all his cars. So without further delay, I'd like to welcome Edward Monge back to the Saloon. So, Edward, how the heck are you? And it's great to see you here tonight, sir.
I just finished that vacuuming, like you said.
In the background, I could hear. And by the way, as opposed to when you first turned on the video, that couch is really looking clean right now.
I try to keep it that way. So anyways, thank you, BZ, for bringing me back. I'm so honored to be here once again. And hopefully we're going to have a good conversation and have fun, as always, right?
We are going to have a good conversation. So Welcome back, my very good friend and my brother. Now, folks, if you are unaware, Edward Monge is and correct me if I don't get it all, because I hope I do, a producer, a director, a filmmaker, a creator of documentaries, making the new series now, Unknown Encounters. You are from San Antonio, Texas. There are at least, I don't know, like 5 metric tons of things to talk about tonight. And since your appearance last year, I've gained more viewers and supporters. So what I would do, if you wouldn't mind, is I'd like to go back to the start a little bit, wherein you tell us a bit about yourself, Edward Monge, if you would please. And what's your story? What's your background? Where were you born, grew up, educated, like that?
Sure. Well, like you say, my name is Edward Monge. I'm originally from a tiny little country in Central America, Costa Rica, for those who've been there before. Nice little country. I was born and raised over there. I came to the States when I was 19 years old. So it's been about 30 years ago. Wow. Yeah, I'm 49 now. So imagine. It's been a while. So yeah, I got here and I used to do a lot of different jobs, from military, sheriff department, what else? I was into colleges, obviously, studying filmmaking, history, stuff like that. Um, I don't know. So many things, man. It's like my brain is all over the place right now. But that's kind of like putting everything in one word.
Well, you were born in, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Grisha, Costa Rica.
Yes, sir.
1975, if you were 49. So how was it that you got from Costa Rica to the United States? And, a lot of people decide Costa Rica is a beautiful country. So what is it that, were you dragged kicking and screaming to the U.S., or did you just want to see more stuff, or did you go to another country beforehand, or how circuitously is it that you ended up here in the U.S.?
Well, back then, it's a long story, but I'm going to try to make it short for you. I used to work for Mr. Brown, a very rich guy, an American guy. This guy used to own hotels, private university in Costa Rica. This guy basically became my dad, put it like that, since I was a homeless kid, back in the 90s. So he took care of me. He offered me a job in the United States, and US always, since I was little, it was my dream. I'm like, one day I'm gonna make it there. I wanna see the world. I wanna be somebody else than just a little Costa Rica in the middle of Central America. So I was just 7 years old when I was having those thoughts. So at the age of 19, after working for Mr. Brown for almost a decade, he sent me to New York City with a work visa. And I did my contract. I did my time working for him. We built a restaurant in the middle of Manhattan. It was basically Costa Rican food. So I used to be a captain. They call him captain, the guy in charge, and like the Saloon, put it like that, the bars, all that good stuff. Even though I was so young, this is a guy who invested a lot of money on me to go to school and learn the process. So I was basically one of the managers. So I got here to the States. And then after the six months time that I did for him, he offered me to go back to Costa Rica and get my job back. And I'm like, Mr. Brown, would you mind? And he's like, don't even. And I'm like, well, I'm young. What am I going to do in Costa Rica? I don't want to be just, working in a restaurant, stuff like that. He was an older man. And he's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I want to do many things. And one of those things became a soldier.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's like, are you kidding me? He was mad at me. I'm not even kidding. He was mad at me. Dude, after I invested so much time and money and effort in you just want to be a soldier? Really? And I'm like, well, put it like this. Mr. Brown, I am so grateful with this country because in so little it gave me so much that I'm willing to give whatever I can. And he's like, well, in that case, we're gonna have to work into, we get your stuff. Okay, so let's do it. My English was like terrible back then. I mean, it's still, but back then
You speak better than a lot of Americans.
It was even worse.
You are an American.
I am, yes, thank God. So, yeah, I study a lot just to prepare myself to go through the process, physically speaking, mentally speaking, all the good stuff. And then, yeah, I became a soldier, though. Years later, I became a soldier. I served at Fort Bragg as a paratrooper for the 82nd Airborne Division. And I'm so proud of what I did. No regrets. I love what I did.
I would be too. 82nd Airborne. That's some, excuse me if you don't mind my saying, that's some studly stuff right there.
Yeah. So, I love what I did. But that's part of how and why I got here, and I still here. I just love the U.S. I love this country.
So how long did you spend in the 82nd Airborne? And were there, I know this may sound like a weird question, but everybody can take something out of a bunch of their life experiences, as strange as they may have been. Were you able to take anything? Because, well, I'm going to ask you this in the future, but when you were serving in the military, did anything that you saw or encountered say, if only I had a camera with me right now, some of the cool stuff that I could have captured?
I did since day one, because to me, just going through the process of enlisting, to me, it's a documentary on my head already. I'm just taking notes, and I was like, I wish I could be one of those guys, because there's actually a MOS for people who are like filming and taking pictures.
Right.
But I didn't know anything of that. I didn't know nothing. So I'm just, going with the flow. I mean, after the processing, after basic training, AIT, airborne school, get to Fort Bragg, get to train so hard, because that's the thing about Fort Bragg. These guys train, brother, like animals. You can barely be home, put it like that. Only weekends if you're lucky. It's tiring, but that's what make you or break you. And when I was overseas, Afghanistan, back in 2012, yes, of course, busy. There was so much stuff, good stuff, really bad stuff that I would love to have a camera and film some of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was always in the back of my head. It was my dream, yes.
2012, did some of that stuff change you? I don't think there's any way that it could not have.
What a great question. You're taking me back in time. About a month ago, before we took off, when we knew that orders were about to come to the unit, one of my leaders, this guy used to love me. We were so tight, so friendly, and I'm like, Ed, or Munch, because they call me last name Munch. I need to talk to you, man. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, be prepared, because once you get to see a war, you're not going to be the same. And he's like, I know you're a tough cookie. I get it. You've been through a lot already. But war is a totally different thing. To be honest, busy, I mean, I didn't know. You train, you see dead bodies, you see a lot of stuff in videos and pictures, whatever, because they make you. When you get on theater and you get to see the stuff right there, it really changes you. It really change your life. It does.
There's a gentleman that I had on about 2 months ago, and I was aware that you were in the military, and I've had ex-military members up here. If you're a Marine, you're never a former Marine, so to speak. And I had a gentleman here by the name of Joe Sowell, and he lives in Washington, actually in Eastern Washington, where you were when you were speaking to Nate Rudd. And we'll get into Nate Rudd and some of the things that occurred there. But some people handle that a lot better than others. And Joe and some people like him, it really affected them seriously. And it affected him to this day. So I don't know if this is gratuitous or not. When I see a soldier, I always say, thank you for your sacrifice. Because I don't know what I know now, but I never know about a soldier's service per se. So I think that's kind of chintzy to say thank you for your service. Well, we owe folks like you a lot, but I don't know what your service was, but I do know one thing. No matter where you were, you sacrificed. So thank you for your sacrifice. And I don't want to presume, perhaps I am, but your sacrifice and your ability to supersede that which was in the past and place yourself where you are today. A lot of dudes and dudettes, they have not that ability. And so to have succeeded as you are right now, my compliments, absolutely, all the way. With that having been said, let's move on. You said you did some time in the police as a sheriff, a deputy sheriff. I don't remember that. So what was that about?
Yeah, after I came back, I mean, it's a long story again, but trying to calm down. Yeah.
I know.
So
I got brain theater too, my friend.
I did serve for 9 months, to be honest, in the sheriff department. Back then, I used to live in Georgia. It took me a while because this is part of what happened to me and why I got out of the Army. We came back same year, 2012. In 2013, I re-enlist. I reclassed to go to Special Forces.
Okay.
And then, unfortunately for me, during training, jumping from airplanes, my parachute didn't open, not fully.
Okay.
So it was nighttime. It was it was a stormy night. I just remember coming down like a potato, rolling full of gear because it's a night combat jump. I knew I was gonna die, BZ. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'm only have a few seconds, so I just remember seeing a bunch of pictures in my head, and then I said it loud. This is it. When I felt the warm atmosphere changing because you're close to the ground, you know that was it. And yeah, I hit the ground really, really hard. I ended up, being a disabled vet I still disabled, even though I don't look like it because I fight it. But I cracked my skull, almost 2 inches crack in my skull on my right side. I damaged my neck, my spine, my legs. Almost lost my left leg. Actually, I went through. They pretty much make a whole knee, made of cadaver parts and you name it. And that's just the physical part. The psychological part was the worst. I'm a guy who just came from 1,000 miles per hour to a 0 miles per hour, sitting in the floor of the house, thinking, what am I gonna do now? Army didn't want me no more. Nobody wants me no more. So I was just, how am I gonna be able to pay bills?
Right.
Get to work.
Yep.
I got a family.
Yep. And do for yourself and them.
Exactly. So it was a lot of stuff going on. Thank God, he gave me the strength. He put me in the right direction. After, I'm not gonna lie to you, I attempted to twice in my life. Back then, I didn't want to be here. I'm like, what's the point? I don't want to be a hassle for my wife or my kids or nobody. But I live, once again, that's how I ended up in a VA hospital for about 6 months total time.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of things happened. Though we can be here for hours, but we can move on if you like.
I got as much time as you need, or as little time as you need. When you need to move.
All right. Well, I'll give you more of this then. So after I completed that time, the VA ended up giving me 100% disability, even though it was 90% when I got out. I was basically 100%, but they always fight for those little points. I didn't ask for anything. I remember that when I was in bed in the hospital, and listen, the general, it was a general, the commander of the 82nd, the big dude, he came to my room, and with the command sergeant major, my sergeant major, and my first sergeant, and all of those big people, and they asked me, dude, Monge, listen, we want to keep you, but there's no way we can keep you like this. So we want to offer you an early retirement. Just go home, heal. You're gonna be fine. You get your benefits, go to college, do whatever you want to do with life. And it was just horrible for me. I didn't want that. I joined for a reason. I feel like I still own something to myself. So now moving to the future, when I was at the VA hospital, man, they put you under a lot of medications. You don't even know who you are sometimes. I was walking like a zombie. But even though I'm praying in the back of my head, asking God, if you're real, this is the time for you to shine. Show me the way. What am I supposed to do here? And then after so many groups of therapy and one-on-one and for PTSD and TBI and all that good stuff, I became better, thank God. I got out and went to college. They asked me, what do you want to do? This is jumping on what I do now, basically. What do you want to do now? And I'm like, well, I don't even know, but there's one thing, I guess, that I still owe to myself. And the doctor, a young doctor, he's like, what is it? If I only have a camera, I say.
Beautiful. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's pause right now. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this. We're talking to EDWARD Monge, filmmaker. And I just heard a story that I've never heard before. And I know for a fact you haven't either. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night Conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? Coming in November to SHR Media. By way of Big E Jackson, you need to check out Mission Ready Men. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man, as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jen, coming this November on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. We're right back. I am BZ. You're in the Saloon. Thanks for being here tonight. My special guest is EDWARD Monge. He is a filmmaker. And if you weren't here for the first half hour, I would suggest you go back and replay that show. I found out things about EDWARD that I had no idea about. And I think EDWARD would probably say something sufficient as, you know, sometimes you don't want to be in my head. And to which I'd reply, you know what? After 41 years of what I did, you wouldn't want to be in mine either. We've both walked some challenging steps and some challenging pathways. The other thing that you asked, however, is say, hey, ask me, let's chat about my time in search and rescue. I did not know that either, that you were in a search and rescue team at one point.
Yes. Since I was in the sheriff department, for what I know, every police department or sheriff department or even marshals, everybody has their own, search and rescue team.
Right.
So I became one of them. We didn't do much back then. I mean, not during the time that I was in service. I believe we only did one mission for what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nothing major. But I mean, it was pretty cool. It's something, put it like this, something natural for me at this point. It was hard for some of these people, just walking through the woods, running through the woods, physical challenges. Even though I'm full of issues, I still manage to become on top, every time, which is, to me, it was kind of funny, to be honest. I got nothing against the police, or I respect them just like I respect the military. But I found out so many things that I didn't agree with. And that puts me out of service because I wanted to be out, to be honest. Not that I got fired, none of that stuff. I just I didn't enjoy serving as a deputy, to be honest.
Okay.
So,
alrighty. Maybe if you don't mind, this would be a good time to say with all new guests. And the other thing is, I'm kind of treating you like a new guest insofar as since last year, April of last year, I've gotten a whole bunch more people, new watchers, new listeners to the show who didn't hear that one particular show and missed you entirely, don't know who you are. So in a certain sense, I want to go back and I'm sorry if it feels like I'm repeating things, but I'm doing this for a reason so that people who are new can look at you and say, okay, now I'm starting to understand, because we have got so much more to talk about tonight. Like I say, the phone lines are open. If you want to talk about any personal experiences that you have had about UFO, Sasquatch, paranormal, unexplained, there's the number right down there. I'd be happy to talk to you. Edward would be happy to talk to you. 916-835-3329. And until and unless that occurs, we're going to keep going. And that is the reason that I'm treating you kind of like a new guest. You are not new to me, but however, I've been learning a lot more about you this time around than I certainly did the first time around. But what I usually say is, in people's lives, there's usually some sort of a big central predicating event which occurs and sends them, planned or unplanned, into their various areas of interest. Now, in your case, I'm pointing the wrong way. Damn it. Do it there. In your case, right there, it's filmmaking. And so I'm getting the picture that after leaving the military, you had an interest in filmmaking. Was your exit from the military the point at which you said, okay, here's my opportunity. I am gonna so take it.
Yes. So I remember that time though, when this doctor, like I was saying earlier, asking me, what are you gonna do now? And I'm like, well, I believe that I'm gonna go and study filmmaking. And he kind of laughed, not in a bad way. He's like, well, all you gotta do is just, get a little camera and start filming stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know what you're saying though, but I want to be, I want to earn it, because everything in my life has to be earned. I don't want to just say I am who I am because
Beautiful.
I own camera. I want to earn that and then learn from there. And he's like, I like that. Okay. So that's exactly what I did, BZ. I remember my wife went to the hospital. She picked me up and I was happy. It's like a graduation thing because you have to go through a lot of processing, that making sure that you're good to go, green light. So now I'm feeling more like I'm opening to become a civilian again. So here's me in the house searching for schools, and nobody's taking, GI Bill 9/11 for filmmaking. It was really tough to find a school. I'm talking about the ones near me.
Okay.
Back then, I used to live in Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and the only one school that I found was in Manhattan, New York, right in the middle of the city. And I'm like, oh my God, that's far. That's like a 3 hours commute each way.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, if I can only do this, then I'm gonna be the one person that I wanted to be. So it's just a couple of years. So let's push it. So that's what I did. I during the pandemic, I have to drive to New Jersey. From there, I have to take the train all the way to New York every day, including weekends. It was really intense. We don't stop. You have to learn so much in film school. You think it's easy, but no, man. If you're gonna learn the proper way, you have to go through a lot, just like anything. And the funny thing is, they break you as well. They make
really?
They do. Yes, they will kick your butt out of there if you're not good enough too. We started my class. We were like 18 people. And if you see the pictures of our graduation, we were like 6.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, these teachers are Hollywood guys, Universal Studio guys. And they have no mercy to tell you everything in your face, you're good or not. I mean, to me, again, they try to break me, of course, because I make a lot of mistakes. Make a lot of mistakes learning. And I still making mistakes regardless. But I didn't let the mind game play me. I actually played the other way around. I was the quietest guy in the classroom, never raising my hand to ask questions. I'm just learning, taking notes. Okay, tomorrow, guys, Ed's gonna direct this short film. And I'm like, I'm not ready. Well, you're going. Okay, so let's do it. So they push you. Even though you're not ready, they push you. I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't. They make you. They're gonna check every single thing. And I still making mistakes when, remember, English is not my first language. So I make a lot of mistakes. But in order for me to pass each class, I have to come out with the best of the best. And I was barely making it, to be honest, BZ. This was like the first semester. You know, the second one and up, I was just going with the flow, and I was doing a lot of progress, and I was learning a lot, and I was happy. I'm like, graduation day is coming up. It's coming up. Push it. I'm thinking more like a soldier. You know, basic is almost over. We're almost done. Almost done. So I push it, and the last challenge that I have, it was really, really tough for me, and it was actually upsetting because college didn't want me to film Belief. I don't know if you watched the film.
Yes, and later on, thank you for reminding me. We're going to play
Sure.
the trailer for that.
This is it's a true story, my story actually. I wouldn't say it's a Christian film because it's not. It
No.
talks about God somehow, yes, but it's not trying to convert nobody into Christianism. You know what I mean? It's none of that.
It's an inspiring film.
Exactly.
It's
That's
my
thank
take.
you. That's the word. But you know, in the eyes of teachers and everybody up there, no, we don't want religion, we don't want politics, we don't want this, blah blah blah. But the funny thing is, they were making films about abortion, LGBT, all the crazy stuff, and it's fine. Welcome. But I
Yeah.
chose to do something like this, and they were banning me. So I say to the director of campus, I went to the office and I knocked the door, and I'm like, "Ma'am, with all the respect, because we have to get the equipment from them, go and shoot, come back and drop off everything. It's part of the graduation. If you don't do that, then they'll kick you out." I have 3 more months left, and I pray to God. And they say, you have to write a script. We have to review the script. If we approve, you go and film that. If not, start all over. Not okay. So I wrote 2 scripts. One was related to aliens. I still have it. It's a cool story though, but it was winter, and I'm like, how am I gonna hire actors in the snow and it's cold? It's massive. It's crazy. It's pandemic going on. No, I want to do something indoors. Boom, something popped in my head. Remember what happened to me back in 1998, I believe? Yes. And I'm remembering the whole thing. And I'm writing it. So I became, one of those students dropping the scripts kind of late. I didn't have anything else. And the teachers are like, no, you can't film that. So
Really?
they wouldn't. Yeah, they were saying, you're not going to get the equipment. You will not get crew from here. We're not going to support that. So that's the day that I went to the big woman, and I say, ma'am, with all the respect, believe it's going to be shooting I'm gonna shoot it. Regardless, there's money or not, there's equipment or not, God will provide me. But believe it's gonna happen. And she got up and she's like, whoa, wait. So you are above me, or what are you playing? What's the gang? And I'm like, the gang is that this is my life. It's part of my testimony. And if I'm feeling in my heart that maybe just one person out there can see it and hopefully change, then I'm done with my mission here. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't came to just to turn on lights and cameras. I can do that at home. Well, you're not gonna get the equipment. Don't worry, I say. I've been saving money. I'm gonna buy my own equipment. Thankfully, yeah, that's what I did. I bought my own professional camera. Big sacrifices, busy. I mean, I'm not bragging.
You've blown my brain at this point with regard to filmmaking school, but may I suggest that this might be a good time to look at the trailer?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do that. Let's look at the trailer that was created by EDWARD Monge just out of film school. This is him himself.
What brings you to the bookstore, son?
Honestly, I ended up here by accident.
I'm just calling to let you know that your last paycheck was just placed in the mail to your home address.
If you are Jesus, why do you allow me to have such hard times in my life?
You may not understand all of this now, but you have to believe.
The thing that I find astounding about this is the fact that filmmakers, creative artists, etc., want you to hit your passion. They want you to be directly involved with you yourself, your motivation. What motivates you? What is your passion? And then when you tell them your passion, they're not interested. I find that sad, in a way disgusting, because you've been told, I'm guessing, by them, do what you feel, do what your emotions, be you, let yourself come out in terms of filmmaking. But apparently that's not what they were interested in at that point.
They hold my feet to the ground in a way that I couldn't move, put it like that. I mean, just to find the crew. After they give me the go, just to find the crew. I'm only have like 2 weeks left. It's like they knew it's going to be difficult for me to find the people. So I have to send emails, go to backstage, trying to get the actors, everybody, and nobody responding. At the end, I watched a film where this older man, Mr. Berkey, he's a very well-known guy. He's a Hollywood dude. Man, it was my dream. I'm like, man, I want that guy to be John in the film. But I mean, who am I? I ain't nobody, but I'll try. I sent an email 5 minutes later. What's the film about? Oh, wow. He responded to me. That's amazing.
Nice.
And I'm like, do you have time? I'll send you the script. Yeah, send it over. So I sent it. Dude, like 20 minutes later, he called me on the phone because he already got my phone. He called me Hey, it's me, Martin Berkey. Oh, nice to meet you, sir. Listen, I never done anything like this in my life. I'm always the bad guy. I'm always the whatever. But man, you hit me hard. So I'm like, so are you? Yes, he said. I'll take the raw. I'll take the raw. And I'm like, is it gonna cost me a lot? Because I was short of money already, like short. I mean, almost nothing left.
Right.
And he gave me such a good deal, almost free, busy. He just want to be part of the film.
Okay, let me ask you a question at this point. I hate to interrupt you, but
you're good.
Are you receiving a message somewhat similar to, despite all these obstacles placed in your way by, I would guess, people that you didn't suspect would be placing said obstacles, that you're succeeding?
I believe that my life since I was little has been like that, busy. So I think I was born ready to go through whatever. My life hasn't been easy.
No, that's pretty clear.
So,
but you were lucky insofar as you found your passion, you found your motivation, and the thing that was frustrating, I'm sure, is that this passion, which customarily people want to be expressed, there was little to no interest in tapping that particular passion. And essentially what occurred is, because you learned to be implacable, essentially, during the military, is, no, today I'm not stopping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say that, believe it or not, and I'm grateful for that. And I will always be grateful. One of the things that I learned in the military, even though I'm already new, but this was like a reinforcement, is to create this like a shield around me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm the tip of the spear, you know. I have to break through, and I'm gonna break through regardless. And again, I'm saying this in a very humble way. I'm not to brag. I feel like God give me the opportunity to do what I do, but in order for me to go through that, I have to go through other things that even though I don't want to go through. It's like a trait, you know. You do this, but this is gonna happen. And I was willing. My prayer, I mean, my whole life has been, Lord, it's okay. I'll go through it. I'm going to go through it. Just don't let my hand go. But I'll go through whatever.
Well, that's, you've had any number of obstacles placed in your way. You're still succeeding.
Yes.
I got about 5 minutes before the top of the hour. When we hit the top of the hour, I want to go to a number of your websites and show people a little bit about your background. But before we do that, I want to go back in your life just a little bit, if we could.
Sure.
Do you remember, now, before the military, was there an incident, a time, an event, something that sparked the interest in a camera, in filmmaking, in photography, or what was it that got you going there in the first place? And then you were lucky enough to find, I think, you were lucky enough to identify, boy, my voice is going, to identify your passion, what you really wanted to do. Now, there were a whole bunch of things that were placed in the way that you had to overcome in the meantime. But do you remember, like, maybe being a kid or being in school or something similar to that, where you may not have realized it at the time, but afterwards, as an adult, you said, oh, that's where I found my interest in filmmaking?
I was 7 years old. I remember my mom bought her first little. Remember those like rectangular shaped Kodaks?
Yeah.
They were
Oh,
tiny.
yes. Yep.
That was like the top of the line camera. That
Are you talking about those stupid things that they had 110 cassette film?
No, I'm talking about the camera itself.
Okay.
It's rectangular. It's kind of like maybe like an inch thick.
Yep.
It's kind of like this long. It's a tiny little camera. But back in the day, you put the roll in it, take the picture, little flash. When my mom bought the camera, I was so in love with it that I will actually steal it from her just to play around. Even though I'm not allowed to use the roll because, it costs a lot of money to develop the film. I told Mom, I'm not going to shoot anything. In fact, don't just take the roll out. I just want to see through the frame. I want to see. I'm creating movies in my head.
Yeah.
With my brothers and sisters. So, yes, we play for hours. And I was directing them. And I'm only 7. So, yes, I love this thing. And I remember when I graduated from school, she called me and I'm like, son, I'm so proud of you. I remember when you were little, you always wanted to do what you do now. So don't stop now, okay? So it reminded me that, yes, I thought I was dreaming. Nobody was real. She brought me back to the past and reminds me that that I love cameras. So it was always in the back of my head. I always wanted to do something with them.
I think that's wonderful in terms of you were able to identify early, that young, what you really wanted to do. Folks, I'm BZ. We're talking to EDWARD Monge about filmmaking, and we'll be right back. The first hour in the can, so to speak. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I am back. I'm BZ. The first hour is gone. It was an astounding first hour. I learned things I had no idea about. I went places I wasn't sure I was going to go. And I think I went places that Edward wasn't exactly sure he was going to go. But as you mentioned, an individual is an assemblage of everything that he or she has experienced up to a certain point. And if you're talking about a medium that's creative, such as filmmaking, it should be expected that you take all of these things that make you rolled up into one, and it's those things that become a springboard from which you insert yourself into making film. And I was given permission tonight by Edward to show a brief bit from something that he released just either today or yesterday. And thank you for that permission. So what I'd like to do now is just sort of take a grand tour around the internet so that you people can see and experience where it is that Edward has been, where he is right now. Now, he's in charge of Triangle Multimedia. Edward, where did you get the name Triangle Multimedia?
That's a good question. I don't know. Since I was little, again, I always liked triangles, the form of the triangle.
Okay.
And there's so many things you can take from there, like to give an example, the song, the Holy Spirit, Father God, that can be one. That was actually the main thing why I created this triangle.
Okay.
Always thinking about my creator. I love the pyramids, all those beautiful things from Egypt, all this ancestor stuff. I just love it so much. And you see triangles and pyramids all over the world. Central America is full of those. So it's like a mini behind of, my creation. I wanted to drop a little bit of, obviously, the godly part and the archaeological part into it. So
now I had to ask for permission for
Sure.
this. There's a very important podcaster that's out there. And this guy thinks very highly of you. So I had to ask his permission to play this. And so let me see if I can turn the sound on. This is Joe Rogan.
Studios this year. If I know Edward Monge, of course I do know him. He is a great guy who loves what he does, and I'm planning to have him on my studios this year. If I know.
And see, so I think that was a wonderful testimony by Joe Rogan about you. Now, if you go to Edward's Facebook page, beloved by Joe Rogan, I should point out. If you go to Edward's Facebook page, it tells you all that you would want to know. It's his official page. And it's got, this video that we're going to be playing in the not too terribly distant future tells you all about unknown encounters. We will be discussing unknown encounters and what that means, what that is. A whole bunch of very interesting and related. There's someone near and dear to you, all your friends down in the Facebook page. Anyway, so he is on Facebook, Edward Monge, Monge, M-O-N-G-E.
Yeah.
And also there is a place from longstoryshort.net that talks about his movie, Believe. It gives you the film synopsis. And also we went through the trailer, and filmfreeway.com also has a lot of information about Edward, as you can see here. Filmography, credits, unknown encounters, Believe, and Escape. And I'd also like to go over here for right now. Now, this is a 6-minute and 40-second video from YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. If you want to discover it for yourself, Bigfoot, the Science Behind from Triangle Multimedia. Bigfoot, the Science Behind, Triangle Multimedia. And I then reference this. You need to subscribe to Triangle Multimedia and give Edward a big thumbs up. And so let's play. I've been kindly given permission by Edward to play this. This also has, now last year in April, Alan Thomas, myself, Edward, and Nate Rudd were on. And Nate Rudd is a Washington resident, Eastern Washington resident, who had his own encounter with Bigfoot. And this is essentially a telling of that. And thanks again kindly to Edward for allowing me to play this.
You know, ultimately, we don't really know. I don't think. Well, like I said, I think there's people that know, but we're not gonna find out from them. It's a hard question. I think we learn a lot from history. I think we learn a lot from the First Nations, the Native Americans. They were here long before we were, and they have stories going back hundreds of years. So if you look at those stories, I think we can learn a lot from that. You know, they believed they were another tribe of people. They believed that they were more human. I think that's a big deal, and people ignore that. Not everyone, but you know, there's mainstream science. You know, why don't they go to the natives and interview them and talk to them? I mean, they carry a lot of weight. They know, you know, they all had a name for them, different names, but it all meant the same thing: hairy man, Indian devil, mountain giant. You know, I don't have all the names of things. They were another tribe. That's the way the First Nations looked at them. And then you can go back to our earlier history, late 1700s through, let's say, early 1900s. There was, you know, probably hundreds of newspaper articles throughout that, say, 150 years that described encounters with these. They call, you know, of course, Bigfoot wasn't a term back then. That didn't come along until what, the 50s maybe. People saw them and they reported, and the newspapers, they printed it. It wasn't taboo back then because people are, the U.S. was expanding out west, growing, expanding out into different areas of the country, and people were having these encounters with these things, and people have to do their own research. There's all kinds of evidence out there, all kinds of history, and I think we learn from the history. The Native Americans, all those news articles, if you read them, there's a book you can get that has a bunch of them in there, and I mean, it was out in the open, and early explorers reported seeing these beings in the mountains. When, I mean, it's all there, but it's been ignored and it's been pushed under the rug. And then the other thing that I'm real strong on is the people, just the people that are having the encounters, like I mentioned earlier. I think we learn the most from the encounters, the good, honest people out there. You know, you got to listen to the people. And I think we can learn a lot from those encounters. And there is patterns, you know, and you can put your own puzzle together. And that's what I've done. I've just taken pieces of the puzzle and I'm trying to figure it out and putting it all together. And I think they're more human. I mean, if you look at, and I've looked at hundreds and hundreds of encounters because I've been researching it for years now. And I've got a lot of our own reports on our page that you can look up, but a real commonality in the people that have a really good sighting, they get a good look at the face of these things. They say, man, it looked human. You know, there's reports of hunters putting their scope in a tree stand, putting their rifle on it to look at it, not necessarily to shoot it. And they look through that powerful scope and they're looking right at the face. And they said, I couldn't shoot it. It looked too human. It looked like a human. You know, and you hear that over and over and over. And you have a segment of this field, the mainstream science is what I call it, segment or whatever, that just, they don't want to hear that. It's an ape. It's an undiscovered ape. They're closed-minded. They've been pushing that narrative for years. And some of these people, I won't name names, they've been so invested in that theory. They've been on TV. That's their whole reputation is based on it's an ape. So they want to destroy, distract, mislead. They've destroyed Melba Ketchum. She did a study. They destroyed that lady. and I feel sorry for her. I've talked to her. She's a good person, and she's a DNA scientist, and they didn't like the results of that study, but we can get into that if you want. But that study proved out that the mother's side was human on that DNA. They couldn't identify the father's side. It was unknown. It wasn't in GenBank. And they had over 100 samples. They all came back the same. Independent labs, 8 independent labs studied that DNA. They sent the hair samples to independent labs before they sent them to the DNA labs. The hair came back unidentifiable. So we know what the results of that was, and I believe in that study. I think there's a big reason why the mainstream science side doesn't do their own DNA study. So I believe they know that they'll get the same results. That was a legit study. I know some of the people that were involved in that study, good people. So it just bothers me that, there's people out there that are trying to defame other good people that are really trying to find answers. And this other side's just going in circles, taking foot casts and footprints. And that's all fine. I'm not making fun of anybody. It's not my thing, but hey, if you enjoy doing that, it's fine. But, we gotta be open-minded, and we gotta think outside the box. And like I said, I just think we learn from the people. That's where it's going to come from. I think people that are having encounters and again, history. That's a big thing. You can learn a lot from the history, which they don't talk about anymore, really.
Now, that was pretty amazing. And folks, that's what you get when you have someone who is an actual accomplished filmmaker like EDWARD Monge here. That's our friend Nate Rudd, whom you filmed. He lives in the state of Washington, Eastern Washington. I've had dinner with him, he and Alan, a couple of times. He made a reference to a group. He's a member of WIBS, which is the Washington Idaho Bigfoot Search. And he was featured in not just this, but I think one of your documentaries as well. So, EDWARD Monge, how did you come to know Nate Rudd, and what happened when you met him?
I actually met Nate through Facebook since the beginning of Unknown Encounters, which is the documentary that I still producing as of right now. I was looking for stories, witnesses, researchers, investigators, whoever, and somehow Nate, he been my friend on Facebook already, and then he sent me a message saying, Ed, I don't know if I might qualify for that, but hey, this is my story. So it blew my mind. He went through something that I cannot really explain. He cannot even explain himself. During those days that he was up there in the mountains hunting with his best friend, the story, I believe. So yeah, I'm like, Nate, I'm willing to drive to your state. I was living in Colorado, actually, at that point. So I drove from Colorado all the way to Washington State. And we went to the spot where this took place. It was amazing. Beautiful place, man, by the way. So that's how we pretty much end up, meeting, and here we are.
Well, I think that's a hell of a testament. But again, see, folks, that's what you get when you're dealing with an individual who's an actual filmmaker instead of somebody who is just sort of hustling with, I don't know, a camera or a phone or something like that. You can take a lot of things with these, and movies have been shot with these.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about the take that you have. It's what you do with it and how you assemble it, how you edit, how you throw in music, because people don't realize that music, when you're a filmmaker, plays a huge part in getting the emotions through that you want to designate. And so as a filmmaker, you know, you sort of, in my opinion, you sort of have the best of all possible worlds, because you get to be the director, you're the director of photography, and then you take all of your information, all of your take, and you move it. Jeez, think the right way, easy. And you take it and you put it in with your equipment, and you get to assemble it. You have total and master control. And that leads me, well, let me put this up here, by the way. You were at the Pueblo Film Fests. They posted information about you regarding the film that we just watched. Believe the trailer of which we saw is down here. But I also want to go to this, and I played this before. I'll play it before. I'll play it again. This is Instagram of Edward's studio. And this is where I want to transition and go into, you know what, folks? When Edward was talking about, you know, this isn't cheap. Well, this is the part where I'd like him to explain this isn't cheap. So this is his studio. Okay, camera right there. Let me stop. Red?
Yes, sir. Now I have actually the red. And this past year, I just bought the Sony FX3. So now I got 2 different cameras, though.
Okay. But
it's the red.
To folks that are looking at that, they may think, oh, that's just a box. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff on it. And there's a little screeny thing at the top. And I could buy one of those. Edward, would you like to tell people what kind of an investment that is?
Oof.
Oof is right.
It cost me an eyeball, put it like that. It's a lot of money for someone like me. You know, I'm a big dreamer though. So it took me a while to save up money. And then after that, I just bought part by part, you know, to build it. Because, you know, when you buy the camera, it's just a tiny little box. Right. The body, they call it the body. Then you have to add the lenses. You have to add the matte box, then the screen, and then the batteries, then all the cabling. You know, there's one cable costs you like $200, to give an example. Just a memory card costs you $600. Just one. Just to give an example, how costly can it be? The lens, that lens cost me almost $5,000. Just the lens. So, you know, when you start adding all those numbers, the whole rig is about close to $20,000 in that camera.
But see, that's why I want to emphasize that, you know, the film you just watched with Nate Rudd, 6.5 minutes. I dare you to throw that on a screen and not see that in great detail and not acknowledge that product is every bit as good as things that you would see on a screen anywhere else.
Yes.
You know, and again, I want to emphasize that box over there that he was talking about right there. That's what professionals use. Okay, folks. Yeah, they're you know, people still use Arri cameras and also Panavision. You don't own them, you rent them. But this produces results in a digital form that are every bit as good as the rest of the filmmaking world. So this is stuff that, well, I'm going to continue it. And again, grip, screen, camera, you'll see shades, cabling, the box itself. You saw initially upon starting there, the tripod. Let's continue. Now, the screen right there, that's if you want to limit light coming into the lens, something like that is, I don't know, $200, $300, $400.
That box itself right there, that's $600.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So let's continue now. And of course, the tripod. Now this is coming to his editing suite. Over here, you got to have speakers because I'm damn near deaf, but I'm sure Edward isn't and still has a good sense of sound. So when you play things back, you've got to be able to hear them in real time, in reality. And then, of course, you have a desk, keyboard, controllers, screens, and we haven't even mentioned the software. And a microphone, Shure microphone, because you want to have, if you do any voiceovers, you want to make sure that you have a good quality microphone for voiceovers. Another screen, laptop, video editor, I'm assuming this is.
That's for color grading using DaVinci Resolve software.
Okay. All righty. And of course, you have to have your minions. I'm sure those weren't cheap. Soundboard, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's just a portion of the things that you have. That
now
makes it,
I got a lot more stuff. I haven't picked.
But let me see if I can emphasize this. You can go out and you can get some okay equipment. And shoot, what was that? There was, I didn't realize it until much later. There was a 2012 movie that I saw called Act of Valor about U.S. Navy SEALs. And that was shot essentially in real time. And the rounds that are shot in that film are real rounds. That's not CG. That's not people shooting in a house. Those are live fire rounds. And the DP and the various camera individuals that were shooting that were shooting Canon EOS cameras. They were given tactical vests and ballistic helmets. And all the shooting that's around there, including with the 50 cal on the PBY, that's all live. That's all real. Those folks were running and gunning. So you can use a DSLR to shoot a film. But with this caveat, yeah, you can use this, but you're not going to get anywhere unless you've got content, unless you've got a story, you've got a script, you've got passion, and you have the means to tell it, which is, the addition, in my opinion, Edward has all of those things. And then when you've nailed a certain percentile of those things, then you can go on and expand your equipment. So I don't want people to think that, equipment will make you a great cinematographer or a great director or a great DP. No, that's not going to happen. You have to have the innate passion within you to create something worthwhile, to be able to say something worthwhile, have people look at it, acknowledge your work, and then you can go out and expand your universe, so to speak. Am I even remotely close to that, Edward?
Oh, you got everything right. I mean, I know people who has very affordable cameras, to say that word. And dude, they make great stuff. And I also know guys who got $60,000 camera, but when you watch their films, you just want to turn it off. I got nothing to see. So you have to, this is one thing that I did before I went to film school. What am I chasing here? Do I have what it takes to make a film? So you have to ask those questions to yourself. What are you going for? So I guess the talent is on you. Talent is just like, it's part of your nature. And obviously the grace of God. I know people, like I say, with tons of money, but they cannot pull anything together. Like, to give you an example, BZ, my schoolmates. This is from my class. Now, from different classes, we were a bunch. I won number one. I was number one in college. I took everybody and put it on my pocket that day when they present the films in the theater in order for us to graduate, including those teachers who were against, belief, because of the way I told the story, because of how I directed, because of the music, because of the feelings, the everything about it.
Yes.
And I'm not, and again, guys, please don't take it that I'm bragging. I'm just sharing, what I heard from other people, from professionals, and they told me, "You nail it." Do I take pride in what I do? Of course I do. If you don't take pride of what I do, then you're in the wrong business. So for me, put it like this, if I'm gonna go out and film, let's say, an interview just this weekend, I went to film a commercial for Ken Gerhardt. A lot of you guys know this guy. It's only 1 minute commercial. It took me 2 days to edit 1 minute. And I'm talking full days, like 18 hours a day, at least, to edit 1 minute. Because I want to make sure that when people get to watch that commercial, they really get hit and understand the meaning of what he's trying to pursue, So last night when I sent it finally for him and his girlfriend, I have the conversation here. He said, "Man, you're not going to believe this. My girlfriend is exploded crying." And I'm like, "What? What's going on?" She just loved it. It's so emotional, so beautiful the way you put it together. So I'm so grateful, BZ, that I get, I don't know, maybe the passion, the heart to do things. And this is something that I've been pursuing about filmmaking. There's a lot of people, I don't know if I should say this though, but
why not? Why not? Say it.
Okay.
You're here. I'm here. Let's get it out into the ether.
There's a lot of people doing pretty much what I'm doing right now. Bigfoot, UFOs, all that good stuff.
Okay.
There's people raising thousands and thousands of money. And I'm like, I wish I have just one supporter, just one, someone who believes in me and will help me to make a film. Because what they don't, put it like this, if what they're gonna get from me is gonna be a film, I'm not gonna pocket the money in my bank. I'm not gonna pretty much take the money or the benefit of the film and keep it in my bank, but I'm gonna spend every dollar, in a film that they're gonna enjoy. They're gonna love it. They're gonna ask for more. That's because that's my passion. It's, to me, it's not about making money. In school, they teach you this. Disney, they spend millions to make one movie, not to make money, but to make more movies. So it's the same thing. You have to have the mentality as a creator, as a filmmaker, director, whatever, to make that money into the next movie. And in the process, get better and better and better. And one last thing that I will say, though, when you get to watch somebody else work, watch something that you think is better than you, because you're going to learn something from this person. But if you're going to go back and watch something that, from this guy running in the woods with a little stupid camera, and he doesn't even know how to edit, he doesn't know how to put emotions together, walk away from that. You're not going to learn nothing, And this is an advice that we get in school. Always look up to the bigger one. Always, just like nature, So
it's just like we have beforehand. Folks, we're going to take a break. This is our final break. At this point, I think we're going to go into overtime because I still have more stuff here, as you can hear, and more questions. And we're talking to EDWARD Monge here tonight. Come right back, if you would, please, because you're in the saloon. Get a drink. Go pee-pee caca. Do it now.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I'm BZ. And with me tonight is Edward Monge. Thanks for listening here tonight. Thanks to Edward for being here. People gave me such crap about the chat room. Okay, well, BZ, we liked your other chat room. You know, it was wintry. Look, you can see the snow. There's a fire over there, and you put those candles up there, and it looks really nice. But a lot of people were saying, hey, BZ, especially for this show, where's your original plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room? Well, for those people who are in the chat room tonight, this is what you're experiencing. And you got to look how comfy that is. I'm telling you, unless you sit right on the head of that Sasquatch, it's going to be comfy. Put your feet up right there on the arms. Put your feet, lean right back into that comfy sofa, and especially applicable for tonight. Now, Edward, this is interesting. I've got a bunch of people in chat, and there is, let me see if I get to the okay, here's a comment from Jeremy Hansen. He said he's seen red cameras go for 60 grand. Would that be about right?
Yeah, there are all types of reds, you know, and the red Rangers is one of those. It's really, really expensive. I mean, it's a camera that you can shoot on 8K, I believe.
Holy,
I mean,
crapalimo.
That's a beast, you know. I mean, it's crazy.
And then he also asks, because now we're getting into the by the way, Jeremy is a big radio guy, big into tech. So he says, hey, how many drives do you need for video files?
Oh, what a great question, Jeremy. I would say it all depends of what you're editing, you know. To give you an example, if you're going to edit a documentary for an hour, so, and let's say you went out and you shoot everything in 4K. So we're talking about maybe 8 terabytes just to storage.
Okay.
And maybe you're going to need another 4, I would say, you know, if you're going to start editing, because now you have to add, you know, graphics, color grading, music, all the good stuff on top of the footage is gonna make it so heavy again. So you're gonna need more storage. So it all depends, you know. In my case, I'm only have around maybe 20 terabytes SSDs. You know, this is like a big box here behind the computer. So yeah, and it costs. That's the problem. BC. I mean, the money for
big
kind of stuff is a big money.
Big bucks. Yeah. By the way, let me stop here just for a second. Let me see if I can put this up here. No, damn it. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Now I just took myself out of the picture, and this is how dedicated Edward is. Now, if you look, folks, over there's his camera, and then over in the sofa, and there's his personal alien. I just want to let you know he has his own personal alien there in the background. Now, Jeremy Hansen also has another question. He said, ask if a Lumix S5 Mark II is a good camera to start with if you're going to become interested in filmmaking.
Lumix, that's a beast of a camera, though, to be honest.
Okay.
Simple as that. That's a beast. So, yes, go for it.
Okay. All righty. Jeremy Hansen, if you have one already, you got a beast. By the way, now you had originally mentioned before the break, Ken Gerhardt. And for those of you who don't know him, there he is. He's a cryptozoologist. There is his site. So Ken is someone that if he, well, let me just be honest. And if you disagree, weigh in. But if Ken wants you to create a 1-minute commercial, Edward, I think, as far as I'm concerned, that would seem to be a rather large feather in your filmmaking cap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing for me, you know, to deal with people like this. Ken is a great guy. He's my neighbor. He lives about maybe 40 minutes.
Is he really? I didn't know. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, he's here in San Antonio, Texas. So, you know, we chat all the time, and he's a great guy. His girlfriend is an amazing person as well. And then he reached out to me. He's like, Ed, is any way you can possibly help me out to do this? And I'm like, anytime, brother. Dude, let's make it happen. So
I'm not far away. The other thing I want to point out, folks, tonight, we're talking to Edward Monge. A great guy, a super American. If you haven't, in all honesty, if you missed the first hour of this show, go the hell back. Jeez, go the hell back and listen to what he had to say in the first hour. There were some rather poignant, earth-shaking revelations that were in there. Someday at length, I wouldn't mind talking to Edward because I think we have similar brain theater experiences. Mm-hmm. Edward has mad skills. If, again, in the first hour, you saw the film that he put out, he's got mad skills in making movies, utilizing today's incredible technology. We were just talking about that. Interests in the unexplained and Bigfoot and the Sasquatch and UFOs and paranormal and all the kind of stuff that we have, I'd say, our own either open or kind of secret interests in.
Yes.
Because a lot of people will not admit that they have their own interests in this kind of stuff. I have apparently obviously Edward has too. So again, just to reemphasize, thanks to everybody who's watching live or watching in podcast. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my SHR Media YouTube channel. Subscribe to Edward's. Let me go back. Triangle Multimedia. Go to Triangle Multimedia. Put this up on the stage. And then I have subscribed. You can subscribe right there. And then you can see all of the various and sundry movies that he has and YouTube presentations that he has as well. It's been an absolutely wonderful time. I think it's time now, however, that we go over, and I'd like to reemphasize or at least bring up so that people can can hear you say or talk about your upcoming, I think it's a TV series, Unknown Encounters.
Yes. So Unknown Encounters is anything related to Bigfoot, alien adoptions, alien encounters, dogman, paranormal cases, depending on the cases. To be honest, I'm not so much into paranormal. I don't like playing with that stuff, but it depends on the story. I'll take it. And finally, NDEs. That's a topic that I love so much because still unknown to us. You know, people die, cross over, see something on the other side, came back and tell us what they saw. And it's just mind blowing to me. Plus, you know, there's always good testimonies out of those stories. I started a couple years ago this project, but because of, again, the quality that I'm putting into it, it's gonna take me a while. You know, plus I'm pretty much funding this by myself, so it's tough. It's really, really tough when you have to save up money just to visit somebody and get an interview down, hire somebody to go with you or whatever. It's tough. I actually did a fundraising last year, but unfortunately I couldn't get much help. Even though the little help that I have, I mean, it helps. But I will continue regardless. It might take me this full year to continue shooting. My goal is to hopefully release it by the end of the year. But the way I see things is going to be a little difficult. So most likely will be out next year. My goal is to reach Netflix.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So, you know, that's my dream. I don't know if it's going to happen, but, you know, I've been pushing myself. So why not, right? If not, then, you know, platforms like Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and all of those. That's the idea, at least. Yeah, it's a series, you know, again, every year, my idea is to put one episode with maybe 4 chapters, 4 different stories, you know, from different encounters, different people, different states. So that's one thing, BZ. If it's okay with you, though, I wanted to tell people, if you have any really good story that you went through something you're willing to share with me, I would love to read that message. You know, send me a message, trianglemultimedia@gmail.com. That will be the email. And I would love to read it. And, you know, we'll go from there.
Well, and that's how Nate Rudd came to your attention.
Yes.
His encounter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he did the exact same thing, and folks, you can too. So is there, is filmmaking kind of the perfect forum for a big old public discussion of all of these unexplained activities?
I think it is, though. Even though there's so much going on, there's a lot of films every year and so many new filmmakers. I think still a great topic because, I mean, let's be realistic. Who doesn't want to sit down and listening to somebody, hey, I was chased by Bigfoot. I was, you know, adopted by aliens. I mean, we all do, though. Just to have the curiosity of, or the thought of, you know, maybe being adopted by aliens. It kind of opened up your mind to a different stage. You know, I just had an interview with Carter Borchardt. He came from Missouri to my house right here in San Antonio a few weeks ago, and he did an amazing job. And we're gonna be able to put his story in the documentary. You know, Nate as well. Nate's coming down next month, actually.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I invited Nate here tonight, but he wasn't feeling really well. But you guys all saw what he looked like, and I would love to have had Nate in here, but you know, when you're not feeling all well these days, it is winter. And Nate, of course, is a great guy.
Yes, he is, though. I'm also having, Kathleen Martin.
Okay.
She's the niece of the Betty and Barney Hills.
Oh, right. Yes.
she's coming over to my house this June. And from here, we're going to go to New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico. We're going to be there for a couple of days. She got a major event. So I'm going to be shooting a bunch of, UFO, MUFON people, whatever that is. I don't really know who they are yet, but it's going to be fun.
Oddly enough, the hat upon which sits on my head, I am a member of
MUFON. I saw that. What do you do, BZ?
Basically nothing right now. I want to take that. See, way up in the Great White North where I am up here, and there's a ton of snow on the ground right now, and it's going to be -4 degrees tonight. So it'll be a little chilly.
A little bit.
But if I want to go to, I'd love to take one of their investigator schools, but generally they're down in Arizona, New Mexico, right around in there. But that brings me up, since you already broached the topic, folks, if you remember, it wasn't until 2013 that the U.S. government officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51. And that's like 58 years since its inception in 1955. It was first an aircraft testing area. The SR-71 was tested and developed there, and the U-2 was tested and developed there. Have Blue, all sorts of things right there. So, Edward Monge, is Area 51 kind of a topic that might be in your filmmaker sights someday?
That's a great question. I thought of that a few times because you're not the first one asking me the same thing. Basically, I believe, and I know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I spoke to people, like high-ranking people in the past, who worked at the Area 51, and I believe them, though. Honestly, I believe them. I mean, I was an Army guy. This commander told me, because I asked him straight up. It's funny, we were in Afghanistan that time, and I was like, "Sir, since you've been there, though, I know you're not allowed to share information, but." Come on, man. We're the same, right? We were in the same uniform. I was trying to go that route. And he's like, no, I get you. I know exactly what you're going to ask. And he's like, the answer is no, there's no aliens there. There were at some point, but all the extraterrestrial technology has been moved to the Edwards Air Force Base. That's where everything is happening, but not in Area 51. Area 51 is being only for, like you just said, to test, new technology, from drones to bombs to satellites. They're constructing all those pieces of equipment for the military, things that you wouldn't even believe that they exist, but they do. But that's pretty much it. It's all high-tech stuff, what these people are hiding there. So it's not about, they're keeping aliens away from people. That's not the case, in my opinion. Busy.
Let me ask you this, and I think I asked it last time, but I want to ask you again. I have had, Alan Thomas. I don't know if you remember Alan, but Alan died on the table twice. And he had at a minimum of 2 near-death experiences.
Wow.
He is an amazing guy. And in my opinion, those experiences opened him up to all sorts of situations. He has since become this big, I can't think of another name for it except that he's this big, giant, massive antenna, this big receptor of all sorts of things that he can feel, he can sense.
Yes.
Are you interested in, or perhaps might be aiming your camera and script at some sort of near-death experiences or persons aligned with those in the future?
Definitely, though. I actually have an interview coming up this summer. A lady from Oklahoma who died. And it's funny because it might sound funny, but it's not. I'm sorry about that. This woman died. She went to the other side. She wrote a book. It's actually called Die to meet them. And I was like, what do you mean? And she told me the story. We met last year in a MUFON event, actually, in Dallas, Texas. And then this beautiful woman died, and she said that when she got to the other side, yes, there was like a massive place, like call it like this, like another planet, but it's just massive. And she's seen people from other planets coming in and out. And these beings been guiding her and telling her things since then until now. You know, it's like, I will say that's maybe the center of the universe. I will call it heaven. Maybe this is where the creator has, everybody else, because, let's be realistic, BC, we're not the only ones. It will be so selfish to think that we're the only ones existing on this beautiful, universe.
Yes.
There's got to be a lot more. So
I completely agree.
So that's basically what she pretty much saw on the other side. So yes, I will definitely love to have more people who die and came back, and they're here to tell their story. That's something that I'm doing for sure.
I've seen UFOs any number of times, 5 or 6. Like I said, I saw a series of them one time with my wife when we were on a little vacation on the coast. I've seen 5 other examples of UFOs. I don't really have any experiences in terms of paranormal. I believe that I may have seen a juvenile Sasquatch Bigfoot near Clear Lake in California. I can regale that tale sometime later. So those are my only real experiences that I have with those 2 things. Paranormal, nothing. UFO experiences, except for something that I had seen that to me were revealed as dots in the sky. But, that stuff wasn't normal that I saw. So I'm curious. You have an investment as a filmmaker. You had a passion to express yourself. You have, and you utilize your emotions and all of your skills. Reminds me of the scene in The Godfather where Marlon Brando looks at the Undertaker and says, use all of your skills to make my son Sonny whole again. So you have a ton of skills in which to express yourself. So by using them in these fashion, have you yourself had any, say, UFO experiences or any Sasquatch Bigfoot experiences or any paranormal experiences that kind of light your fire and inform you as to, you know what, I'm going to take this and use this as my own as kind of an impetus or a motivator for doing what I'm doing right now?
Right. Definitely yes, though. I mean, basically, what I believe, there's a reason why we're here tonight. I keep on saying the same thing to everybody that I met. There's no such a thing that you go to a podcast or program without having an experience, because you are somehow connected to that topic. I thought that I shared my story with you guys before, maybe not. So I don't know if you want me to tell you the story now or in the future time, because I mean it's not that long, but it's a real something.
Well, we've got time, and like I say, the audience that I have here today, I think is going to be primarily a different and additional audience from the time of last year in April.
Cool. Well, then let's do it then. Let's go back to 1994. Man, I was a young guy back then. I'm already walk away from home, like I was saying earlier. I didn't have a home to go no more. So at this point, I found that little part-time job in a manufacturer. They were making shirts, kind of like this, for the USA. And then I met the supervisor, Luis. I will never forget that guy because he was an amazing guy, always helping me for everything. And then my best friend over there, Gina. Gina was a lady who actually adopted me. She brought me to her home. She rented me a little room, even though I didn't have money at that time. She gave me like a free month the first time, and yeah, come over. And then she's like, "Well, Ed, look, we have to move closer to the job." And I'm like, "Okay." Busy. This is a true story. To be honest, I kind of hate to talk about it sometimes, but let's try. Okay. It's hard for me to explain.
If you don't want to, that's okay.
No, that's fine though. That's fine. It's just difficult because until today it's still bothering me. Can you believe that? It's kind of
Yes,
kind of weird.
matter of fact, yes, I do.
So this, I never believe in anything, like ghosts or aliens. None of that stuff. To me, it was just
Like you said, you're a prime skeptic, like me.
Exactly. So here's this little guy. I was skinny, tiny, and I wasn't feeling that good at work. So I called Luis, my supervisor, and I say, "Luis, look, man, I'm tired. I'm not feeling good. Can I go home earlier?" It was around 12:30, lunchtime, and he's like, "Well, yeah, it's fine, I guess. Go home. If you cannot make it tomorrow, that's fine. Just let me know through Gina. Gina, she'll tell me." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I'll do that." I used to live in Alajuela. That's like the second biggest state in Costa Rica. And I was maybe like 25 minutes away from the airport, international airport. So I'm in the bus, holding the phone, get home, walk like 3 blocks to get to the tiny little house that we're renting. This house is at the end of the street. It's kind of like the last one up there. And right next to that, there's like a bunch of bushes and trees and you name it. So it's maybe like 1:30 or so, the afternoon. Beautiful day, blue skies, beautiful. I was having some fever. I think I had like a flu or something going on. I'm not sure what it was. Busy. The thing is, I walk into my room. It was the first room on the right. I haven't bring anything with me yet. In fact, I didn't even have anything. I didn't have a bed, none of that stuff. I'm only have my clothes. No, that was it. I don't have a bed or not even a towel. So Gina ended up giving me a white sheet to put on the floor. And she's like, "Well, when you get home, just take the sheet, put it on the floor, lay down. Or if you want to go and sleep in my bed, that's fine." So I just took the sheet, put it on the floor. The floor is nice and cold. So I'm just laying in there, looking at the ceiling. And I'm 100% awake, busy. I'm just holding my head, like kind of like this, like massaging me because it hurts so bad. And then I put my hands down and I heard this like an explosion or like a crash right next to the house. And in a way that I can see, literally, I can see pieces of glasses flying all over the room and landing, in the floor. And some of them like right next to me, but not on top of me. That's the funny thing. Automatically, my body froze. I'm like a stick. But I'm 100% awake. I didn't sleep. No. I'm 100% awake. I know what I saw. I knew exactly what was wrong. And then from nowhere, busy, everything went quiet in such a way that there's no birds, there's no cars, there's nothing. It's just my breathing. That's it. And I hear this kind of weird sound that I can never, ever compare with anything that I have heard in my life. It's like a water or some sort of a liquid sound, but kind of loud. And that thing is just crawling through my window. And it's crawling. It's like a lot of stuff. It looked like a waterfall, put it like that. But this thing it's like stinks. It's like I don't know, like a gray, blue, green, mix those colors together. It looked like a paste.
Okay.
So this thing is just falling down a lot. coming all the way to the room, to the top of my legs. BC, I felt cold things in my life, but never like this one. This is the coldest thing I ever felt. And now it's on top of my two legs, to be specific, on top of my laps. And this thing is just forming up and forming up and forming up. This massive being, a humanoid type thing with long arms, skinny shoulders, a long neck, but really, really skinny, like all of this area right here. A massive head, 2 black eyes, no nose, just the little holes, tiny little mouth, no ears. And he's wearing some sort of a clothing that is actually attached to the skin. It's nothing like this that you can pull. No, it's like attached to the skin already, like some sort of protection thing. But it looks beautiful, to be honest. It looked like pearls, kind of like that, and maybe different shapes and colors. And this thing is just doing this, looking at me, but it's so heavy.
And you still can't move.
I cannot move. I can't. And the whole room stinks. It stinks like a chemical. Don't ask me what kind of chemical. I just don't know.
Like maybe an acidic, astringent, sharp smell.
I believe it was kind of like maybe some oil, if I can recall that, like oil. I don't know. Busy.
Okay.
Trust me, it's been a long time and I cannot figure that out yet. I never smelled that. I'm shaking already. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this thing is heavy and it's cold and it's just looking at me, and I'm praying in my head and asking God, please take this thing out of here. I don't know what's going on. I thought it was the devil, to be honest. So I'm like telling him, through my mind, because I cannot even speak, to leave me alone. And then I heard this voice, or his voice, by using my own voice. I don't know how to explain that part, but it's like I can hear myself through him or her, whatever that is, saying, I'm not here to hurt you. And then I say, then why are you hurting me then? Because it hurts. And she started to lift up the right hand like this, and he's looking at the four fingers. No nails, none of that stuff. It's just the fingers. And like a lightning speed, drop the hand into my guts.
Okay.
So I'm feeling like I'm getting destroyed inside, like a burning and cold pain at the same time. And I'm screaming in my head. And I'm sweating. I can feel the sweat just dropping and dropping, through my cheeks and my chest. And I'm screaming at it, please, leave me alone, please. And I start to hear this boom, like an echo. Boom, like far away, but it's coming closer. And I start to see my room like disappearing. I'm only see like a tunnel vision. It's just me and this thing. I don't see the walls. I don't see the ceiling no more. I see like maybe like lights, I will say, like lasers moving in a really high speed. It's just me and this being. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on. It's just me and him. I'm in a lot of pain. That's all I know. And this boom is from behind me. And maybe in the third boom, this thing froze up and it dropped. Boom. Just like, to give an example, if you think a balloon, you fill it with water, you pinch it with a needle, the same way the water drops.
Right. Huge cascade.
Is the same thing. This thing just dropped all over the place. I can feel it through my feet, to my toes, under my legs. It was like a floating in my room. And then now we're playing the movie in reverse. Now you see all that watering thing, gathering around, forming that paste thing again, like a gel, and going back into my window. and literally I can see all the pieces of glasses picking up. It's like, again, it's like playing the film in reverse. I see all the pieces of glasses, whoa, like a whoosh sound, boom, back to the window. And then my door exploded in pieces, my room door. That's Gina, the lady that I live with, my friend. And I'm finally back. And she's screaming and crying. I can't move still. And I'm so thirsty. And I'm in a lot of pain. And she's like, Ed, what's going on? I've been kicking the door, but I feel like something's holding the door. It's a light door. And then finally on my third kick, and that's when it opens. And what's going on? And she's looking at the floor. What's going on? Look at you. What happened to you? I didn't know at the moment. And she's like, let me get you out of here. And she's dragging me because she cannot pick me up. So she put her arms under my back and dragged me out of there. Took me all the way to the kitchen. And I say, water. I can barely say words. Water. My throat, everything hurts, busy, everything. And she gave me water. Now I can speak a little bit. And I said, Gina, there's something in my room. Please check it out. And she's doing this, her arms full of, how can I say this? The best example. Okay. Like when you break an egg, you see the clear stuff. Same thing. It looks just like it, but more liquid than thicker. You know what I mean? But it's still thick. So she's full of that stuff, her arms and the clothes. And this is what I saw later when she dragged me out of there. I'm leaving all this thing behind. The same liquid. My clothes. My hair. It looked like I just got out of the egg. It's nasty. My whole room, the whole floor is full of this thing. Literally, the whole floor. The sheet what I was sleeping on, she threw it away. It's 1994. There's not such a thing that, I'm living in a third world country. There's no such a thing as MUFON or investigators. I just want to get out of there.
There's nothing with which you can relate.
No, nothing. In fact, when Gina went back to my room and checked, because she went around, she said that she can smell the stuff, like this chemical. And she said, Ed, let me take you to the ER. And I say, no, don't take me to the ER. They're not going to believe me. But what's going on? And she's crying and tell me, please, what happened to you? And then I'm like, Gina, this is what I saw. So I told her. And then she is covering her mouth and say, oh my God, something really happened to you. And I'm like, why? You're bleeding. And I'm like, where? I got 2 scars in my abdomen until now. Busy. I have two holes, one on the right, one on the left. And I was bleeding. A lot of blood coming out of that. And I was bleeding for the next maybe 2-3 weeks. It took maybe like 6 months to heal, like completely heal. We didn't live a single day after that in that house. We left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then, man.
There's a question in Rumble chat.
Okay.
I have a couple chats going at once. And over in Rumble, a young woman named Simone says, or asked, ectoplasm. Did that feel, sound, make you think of, in reflection, ectoplasm? In other words, now in reflection, this many years later, how do you interpret that as something obviously was there, something came for you, something made you experience these things, something injured you, literally injured you, from which you had to heal,
Mhm.
And so if you were to try to interpret that in some fashion, even to date, would you say this is an attempt to abduct? Do you attach any kind of meaning to any of that, or does it make you think that this may have happened? I didn't realize it then. Maybe I see it now.
What a great question, though, because
obviously, I mean, it is moving, and it's as moving to you now as apparently it was then, as moving to you now as your military was. I mean, this is primal.
Yeah.
That was primal in the military. This is very primal with you now.
It was, and it's still, and I think it's gonna be like that forever. People wonder why. You know how many times my wife asked me, "Baby, you're a filmmaker. Why don't you do something else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do anything else." But you know why I'm into this? Because I'm trying to find the right person.
It's personal.
I'm trying to find the right story similar to mine. So maybe, just maybe, I can understand what happened that day.
It's personal. When things are personalized, people look for answers. That's human. That's being human. Trying to suss out some kind of an answer or a reasoning. Why?
Basically, people are scared to talk. I get that.
Yes. As I was flooded with calls tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew I wouldn't be. I put it out there. But people are very reticent to talk about these things.
And the biggest problem with us is that sometimes the pride gets in the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ego gets in the way. Sometimes the fear gets in the way.
Fear, yes.
There's so many things that it gets in the way. And I'm saying this because all of those things that I just mentioned to you, they being on my way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out, and I'm gonna die one day, obviously, maybe without knowing the unknown. But if I can only have a little bit of information to connect those dots, then I'm fine. My mission is done. But the main reason I'm doing this is because, again, busy. I've been through a lot. I still going through a lot with these things. I get to enjoy and I love this topic more than anything else because it connects me to people and they get to connect with me. I've been called crazy. I've been ridiculousized, by friends, family. I'm the weirdest person in my family. Nobody in my family loved me, to be honest, busy, and I'm not scared to say it. Because they say that I'm weird, I'm different, blah, blah, blah. And I lost friends because of this. And to be honest, yeah, there's times that I'm like, you know what? I should shut up. Or I'm going to keep on losing people right and left.
Let me suggest you found a home here.
Yeah. And I thank you for that, Busy. I thank you for that. Not many people open a little place for someone like me.
Let me also make another suggestion, and this as the result of almost 2.5 hours so far of the privilege of being able to speak with you right now. You found an early path in terms of what you would like to do. You were sufficiently lucky to be able to identify a passion so early, but it's a tool.
Mhm.
Filmography became a tool for you through which all of your life experiences now have built up to the point where I suggest, and you correct,
Mhm.
You now have the very unique ability, considering all of your experiences, to reach out and be effective in ways heretofore you and lots of other people would not be so effective unless you had those skills. I call them mad skills, but you have skills that you intuited and you worked hard for, and you had your military experiences, and you had experiences that lit a fire under you, scared the shit out of you, but lit a fire under you that will drive you until the day you die. So these are bad things, horrible things, brain theater things, but they inform you on a way that, everything is attitude. I think in a way you were kind of blessed more than a lot of other people. Yeah, you've had problems and travails and whatnot,
Yes.
but you are one interesting cat, and I will always want to have you on the show. You have had a hell of a life, an incredible life.
I appreciate that.
And I think there's a ton more that you're about to encounter and experience.
I believe so, BZ. I believe so. And to answer your question, yes, I believe that somehow this being, because I asked him, you're not gonna believe what I done. I done so crazy stuff. When I used to live in Pennsylvania, there was a particular place that I will go deep in the woods. I'm talking about maybe almost 2 miles in the woods. I'll be there at 10 o'clock in the night. There's no trails. I'm just guiding myself through the stars in my military, experience, how to, walk in the woods without anything. And I made it there to the same spot. And the last time I was there, I was just talking to the woods. This sounds crazy, but that's okay. I was asking, who are you? What do you do to me? Is this why people see me the way I am? Just give me an answer. That's all I want. And then it's funny. My flashlight, it's off. It's completely pitch black. And I'm not scared, to be honest, BC. I wasn't scared. I'm kind of used to that. But then I heard some steps coming towards me. And then I saw a light. I swear to God, I saw a light. And in fact, I think I still have that clip on my phone. I'll search for it. I saw a light popping from the root of this tree and going up. A tiny little light. And it's staying up there, and it just took off. And right after that, these steps that I heard, there was a big deer coming towards me. I mean, I'm talking about maybe 5 feet away from me. And the pitch black. And I heard this something land on top of the deer. That's when I turned on my flashlight. And I got this massive owl, maybe like 2 feet tall, huge. I mean, for an owl, standing right on top of the deer. So now I have these 2 animals staring at me in the middle of nowhere in the pitch black. And then I got scared. And then I say, well, if this is you, or if you're giving me an answer, then I get it. I'm going to leave the place, and thank you. Thank you for answering. I left, and these 2 guys are following me.
Okay.
They're following me. Like, almost all the way to my truck. It's crazy. And then I called my wife because I didn't even have signal over there. I called my wife and I thought, babe, coming home now. And she's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Just, I was emotional, to be honest.
Right.
And then I told her, I think it might sound like stupid because it's only two animals if I'm going to talk to a regular person. But in the spiritual side, I see more than two animals. So after the years of experience, you know what you learn, what these animals represent and who they are and what role they play on life, you know. Then I learned that the owls are like basically watchers.
Yes.
Deer, same thing, depending on the occasion and the place. So it kind of makes sense. And then to close up this thing right now with the statement is that, BZ, I believe that this being came into my life to save me from many things. Why I didn't die that night in my parachute incident. I mean, I crossed over. I went someplace for sure because I was in the middle of a white, massive room.
So you believe you did as a result of that accident?
Definitely, yes. I believe so, 100%. Because in the place that I was, there was nothing earthly. There were nothing like, and the peace that I felt, I never felt that, and I don't even know how long it was. But they say that they were trying to find me for almost 40 minutes. And I made it back from the incident to the tower by myself, carrying 2 parachutes, my molly, my rifle. And I made it back and my leg is facing the other way. So I don't know how that happens.
Let me throw this out there. And this is from Alan. I've talked to Alan Thomas any number of times about this because of his 2 near-death experiences. He sort of summarized by saying that instead of viewing that in a negative context, he looks at it now as a gift.
Yes.
That was somehow bestowed on him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a message saying, you still have things to do. You have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Go find it and then go do it.
Yes.
Similar with you?
Same thing. I believe the same. And my wife keep on telling me the same thing. The same thing. BZ, I after my parachute after my parachute incident, I became more aware of things around me. Again, and I'm sorry if people think that I'm crazy, but I really have to share this because
yes,
I mean, it's real. My wife witnessed it, and she can tell you the same thing. She's a nurse. She's a scientist. She's a professional. She's not like, you know, just like a filmmaker like me. But she was there that night. Those 2 times, actually. I was preparing myself. I still hurt. But I still have to show up at the company that night because they're running a mission. I'm waiting on one of my peers, a phone call. And then when I'm going to the bathroom, as soon as I open that bathroom, instead of turning on the light, I flipped the switch, but instead of a light, it went dark. This is a vision that I'm having. Now I'm in the middle of the field. I can hear C-130 flying above. And then I heard this guy screaming. And a few seconds later, they say his parachute burned in. That's a terminology that we use when somebody's parachute didn't open, or basically he died. So I'm running between the people, and it's pitch black, but I'm wearing my night vision goggles, and I can see the paratrooper in the ground bleeding through his ears, and he's dead. And right after that, then that's my wife in the chat.
Yes.
And then right after that, when I saw the guy laying down in the ground, I kind of went back into myself, and then
as people have said, on a stretcher or you on the ground, they see from above themselves. Alan saw exactly that twice, as if he flipped, turned around,
wow,
and saw himself.
Wow. So this encounter that I have, seeing this guy, which is die, now I'm back in reality. And then I said to myself, baby, something's about to happen. And she's like, what's going on? What do you mean? And then I said it clearly. Someone is about to die in a jump. And what can I do? And I'm trying to call my sergeant, but he's not picking up the phone. I mean, even though he's not going to believe me anyways. And maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, he called me and he said, Monge, don't even bother to come over. We just lost a soldier. He burned in. That breaks me. How do you explain that to somebody?
I guess you could say it's a gift that must be wielded very carefully. But if there's something that I think you already realize is you got so far to go. And you have reasons to be here. Having not succumbed in any way to any of these huge and massive obstacles that have been placed in your way, that at the time you decided you were in film school, I'm going to succeed. And then there were all these obstacles. And in the military, and then there were all these obstacles.
Yes.
And now there are all these obstacles, but you still persevere, and you're still here to this day, which says you have a reason, you have a meaning. Now, go find them, go do them. I think that's your gift. You have a gift.
Yes. It's just a little scary, I'll say, getting to see things that nobody can see. And how can you explain to people the things that you see? When I talked to Kathleen Martin about my alien encounter a couple of years ago, it's funny that Travel Channel actually they got in touch with me and they offered me to appear on their show, telling the story. You're gonna be in the episode. Yeah, they did. And it's funny because I was with Ron Moorhead that day. I was driving his car. We were shooting a part of the documentary. And I said, Ron, I need to pull over because I got Mike, this producer. You might see in this TV show called it There's Something on the Woods.
Yes.
Okay, these guys. So the producer, his name is Mike, at least back then. I don't know anymore. And he's like, hey, Ed, we know about your story. Somebody told me about it. I would like to hear it. And if you're willing to do this, then, we can set up a day, blah, blah, blah. And I say, okay, listen, Mike, I'm not sure if I wanted to do this. Give me about 2-3 days and I'll get back to you. Is that okay? And okay, sounds good. And it's funny that I spoke with Kathleen Martin and I told her, And she said to me, this is the lady that I was mentioning earlier, you know, the Bernie, what is it? Bernie and Betty Hills
right.
niece. And she's like, she was, or she's still, I don't know, she was the big director of MUFON. She was the biggest of the biggest, you know, at some point. And she said to me, Ed, look, you don't have to take my advice, but this is what I can say to you. If I were you, I wouldn't do this on TV. Not yet. You're still young. There's so much to win. There's so much to lose. It's up to you if you want to take the risk. But if I were you, I wouldn't do it. So it kind of speak to me. So I call Mike and I say, man, look, I thank you for the offer, but I'm not going to do it. Not yet. And he's like, okay, well, keep my phone number. We'll keep in touch. Story short, I ended up deleting his phone number. I was not interested on, you know, doing anything with them because I was, I guess, scared to be, you know, ridiculed by people or people saying that I'm crazy, blah, blah. But that was back then. I've been learning to leave those fears behind because at the end of the day, you know, you only live once, like they say, right? And if it's something positive that I can do for people, if it's a little door, a little window that I can open for people, then I'll do it. But as of right now, I'm focusing on encounters to open, you know, doors for people who wants to come out of the shadows and, you know, just share their stories, because it took me so long just to talk about it, just to share my story, that I understood that maybe if there's somebody opening doors, just like you're doing it right now to me and so many people, and thank you for this, VZ, maybe they will show up and say, man, look, this is what happened to me. And who knows, maybe this story is going to change somebody's life. Because you have to understand that life is negative. Since day one, it was evil already. You don't get stopped by a cop saying, hey, man, you're good. Such a good driver. Keep it up. No, they will stop you to give you tickets. Humans are so ready to see the bad on you. That's the first thing we see, unfortunately. So we have to find a way to turn that into a positive. And how do you do that? You have to kind of dig into yourself. How can I change this? What can I bring from the bad something good? So that's what I've been trying to learn for the past few years. And through filmmaking, I believe that if I can open that door for people, then it's going to be good, not only for him or for her, but even future generations. Who knows? Because they're going to be able to share their stories. They're going to be able to have a home, like you told me a few minutes ago. So that's my goal, you see.
After listening to you for the past, well, now we're easily past 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
And what the hell? It's my show. I can do anything I want with it. But having said that, if I'm making any kind of an interpretation on that, it would be you've gone through an amazing journey.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes were not ready to be completely opened 10 years ago. I won't give a time per se.
Yes.
But I think you're in such a place now as to begin to realize that you were, in fact, proffered any number of gifts that you encouraged by yourself, that you focused on, acquired tools and skills in the furtherance of what is coming to you in the future. And I think at your relatively young age, because I'm far past there, you have so much more of your journey to go and see and experience. And I think that these burdens have been placed upon you. You've succeeded in overcoming these burdens. And sometimes you wondered why you had these burdens. You had opportunities to stop the burdens, decided that you were going to continue despite.
Mhm.
And all of this tells me that there's a reason, there's a purpose. Maybe there are multiple reasons and purposes that you're beginning, the curtains are starting to part for you,
Mhm.
but you have mad skills and talents and now the tools with which to illustrate various stories and make yourself seen and known and heard to help, as you indicated, to help people in the future. You'll always be a filmmaker. But by way of doing that, what apparently the filmmakers in the school wanted you to do is to stop expressing yourself that way, which I still think that's one of the weirdest stories that I've ever heard from a filmmaking school. I mean, this defeats your entire purpose in the first place if you're not going to express yourself personally.
Yes.
But that said, you got a purpose, dude. You have a reason.
Yes, sir.
Or as the French say, a raison d'être. And that is, I think you're discovering what it is. I think there's more to discover. And fear not. I believe you will be taken care of.
Yes, sir, I will. I'll keep on working on that for sure, BZ. Before I go, I would like to obviously say thank you to the Lord and my wife for being such an amazing person in my life. She supported me since day one. She never left me, even though I was hurt, alone, you call it. She's still here with me. And thank you to all those people who've been opening to me, including you, BC. Thank you for this amazing almost 3 hours. That's crazy.
Well, never forget that you have a lot of people pulling for you.
Yes.
I think that's one of the primary things for you to extract out of this is on days where you may think, not so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of people pulling for you.
Yes.
And more who will be pulling for you in the future. You've kind of cracked a door open a little bit. Not in the terribly distant future. I think you're going to kick that door.
Like the old days, huh? Kicking doors.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that.
Exactly.
Hey, can I leave a little message to your viewers?
Oh, please do.
All right. Well, a couple of things. If you feel inspired, somehow go and watch my film Belief. It's already out. It's been out for 2 years. It's in my Triangle Multimedia YouTube channel. Just scroll down. You will see Belief. This is a film who earned almost 80 awards. Can you believe that? 80 awards. And it's been a blessing, not only for me as a creator, but it's been a blessing for so many people. It's being aired in Latin America, through TV. I think it was TVN. It's being in hundreds of film festivals, and it's been a blessing. It's been amazing for me to do that. Also remember that sometimes we go through hard times, and look, I don't feel sorry for myself at all, not even a bit. I am so happy that God led me into today, go through all the hell that I went, and I might still go, but that's okay. Remember what I said earlier, I will go all the way to the last mile. As long as He doesn't let me go, I'm cool. So that's my message, people. If you go through hard times in life, just pray to whoever you pray. I don't know what it is, but to me, my Creator, and just hold your hand. Yeah, it might get rough, but you'll make it. So thank you, BC, for reals, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for this time, brother.
Well, you're very, very welcome, folks. I put this up so that you can see if you, in fact, go to Triangle Multimedia, and just like Edward said, if you scroll down a little bit, well, here it is. You can watch the movie right there on YouTube. 23 minutes, 41 seconds. It begins. And you can see it there. So I highly recommend go see the movie.
Yeah.
Do it tonight. do it tomorrow.
It's
if you're
free.
watching later on in podcast, because I get a ton of my views in podcast, not necessarily in live, but I'll get hundreds and hundreds of them later on because, well, for God's sake, it's 10:43 Pacific.
Wow.
It's 12:43 Central where you are.
Yeah.
And it's 1:43 a.m. Eastern. So
wow,
you got to stay up late to see me. And I thank all the people that do. So let's see. Edward Monge, like a monkey in a Home Depot.
We say something similar, like a monkey in a pharmacy. Imagine how.
Because don't think I didn't watch your videos, okay? Don't think I didn't listen to your radio shows. So like a monkey in a Home Depot, Edward Monge, thank you so kindly for being with us tonight. One final thing before we go. Tell people about your upcoming series, Unknown Encounters, and when you think you might be able to have one of those out for people to take a peek at. Oh, and also while you're thinking about it, any websites that you'd like to talk about or promote before we go?
Okay. Well, Unknown Encounters is still in production. However, there is a segment coming up. I think it's going to be posted at Merkel Media. If you guys heard about this podcasting guy, Tony Merkel, he has, me and him, we signed a little contract for 1 year.
Okay.
Ron Moorhead's story. It's only like maybe 10, 13 minutes segment. It's going to be featured on his website. That's just to give people an idea of what we're doing with the documentary until we complete the whole project. As I was saying earlier, it takes a lot of money. Let's be realistic. Without money, you can do nothing. It is what it is. And that's something that I don't have right now. And I'm not saying this in a pity way. No, it's just reality. I need money to complete this project. And so it's going to take me a little while to get there. My goal was to release it by the end of 2025. However, if something comes up, it's going to be released in 2025. It's not for sure next year, 2026.
Okay.
Websites, I have my website. It's under construction right now. Triangle Multimedia.
Okay.
What was that? That's CEO, I believe. You see, I forgot. I'm sorry. But I'll be posting that on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook if you like. I will gladly, chat with you. However, keep you guys posted about what's coming up. And finally, I'm doing little segments of stories. Nothing for the documentary, but segments of stories of same thing, same topics: Bigfoot, aliens, NDEs, extra. We call those extra stuff. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, it's a lot coming up, but yeah, follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and that way we can stay connected.
Well, you're always welcome back here anytime, even if you don't have anything to say, or maybe if you have another encounter, or if you just want to touch base for any reason whatsoever, or if you got an update, anything like that, you're always welcome back here in the saloon.
I appreciate you so much, BC, again. Thank you for the time. Thank you for, to everybody out there watching and listening. It really means a lot to me.
God bless you, sir, and take care. That was Edward Monge. What a great guy. I have had a great time being here tonight. One thing that I want to promo, let me see if I can find it here. This Thursday night, tomorrow, after tomorrow, I have an individual that's going to be back on the show, Dan Wilson. He is a constitutional sheriff. He was running for sheriff as a candidate for my county, Kootenai County, and he's been on the show any number of times. Now, he makes me look like a midget, okay? So, yeah, I'm all right. Maybe at one time on a good day with not so much gravity and avoirdupois sitting upon me, I was about 5'9", but this guy towers over me. But you want to talk about a smart, sharp, well-read individual. We're going to be talking about in Thursday night, same time, same bat channel, same bat time, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about the Constitution, things that are going on right now, and what the heck has been happening in law enforcement for the past year, because there is some really wacky, silly, stupid, and fattening things going on these days in law enforcement, things that I wish I'd never seen, and I would have a very difficult time explaining to anyone, which in reflection, that's really sad. So you know what? That means, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here on Rumble on the SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, the munificently grandiose KLRN, and tons of other bulbous podcast locales. As per normal, promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works Shure and Electro Voice microphones, my very own Arrakis board, and Pratt & Whitney engines, which develop thrust you can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my guest tonight, EDWARD Monge, a great and interesting character, and I can't wait to see how many people see this later on in podcast. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than about 10 minutes, and they are waiting for me through that door, around the corner, right over there. Thanks to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day and night to watch. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for listening live. Thanks for listening in podcast. I love you, Dad. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Dad. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.